In this video, we're going to be talking about TikTok ads, everything you need to know to create and launch your very first TikTok ad. Even if you've never done ads before, it's a lot simpler than you might think. I'm going to hold your hand through the whole process, and by the end of this, you're going to have a live TikTok ad that has the best chance of being successful. Hi, my name is John Smith with Systems Make Profit, and let's get started. Okay, the first step is to create a TikTok business account. You probably already have a personal account. A business account is a separate account. It allows you to run ads from there as well as do a few other things. Cannot run ads from your personal account. So first step one is to go to tiktok.com/business. From there, you're going to click on start now, and you're going to follow the screens to create your business account. You can create a new login, or you can use your TikTok login. I actually recommend you use your TikTok login, so it's just one less login to use. Go through all the forms, enter in information about your business, and once you are done, you're going to land on a page that looks something like this, the TikTok Business Center. So you have your business account, but you still can't run ads yet. You have to now go create an advertiser account. I don't know why TikTok does this, but just because you create a business account does not mean you have an advertiser account. So down here in under assets, you want to click on advertiser account, and you're going to want to click on create new. And that's going to allow you to, it's going to go through a couple screens, again, asking information about your business. And at the end, you're going to have an advertiser account that you can run ads from. While we're here, I also want to point out something else. I recommend going under assets and linking your personal TikTok account here. And what that's going to do when we get into the ad part, actually creating the ad, it allows you to run ads from your personal TikTok account. That just makes it much more personable, makes it look like it's user-generated account, not so much of an ad. And that goes a long way to helping the performance of the ad be successful. It also allows you to get access to your whole library of TikTok videos should you want to use one of those as an ad, but I'll talk about the pros and cons of doing that when we get there. So create your advertiser account and then just link in your TikTok account. And once you're done with that, we'll get into creating the ad. Okay, once you have created your advertiser account, you should have a page like this when you click on advertiser accounts. If you have multiple advertiser accounts, they'll be listed here on the left. When you click on one of those, you'll have this option to open up Ad Manager. I want to open up that. But real quick, I want to point out something because this is something that I find interesting and is a little quirky about TikTok. Unlike Facebook, where you can just give it a credit card and it's just going to run up charges and bill your credit card every time it hits a limit, TikTok makes you put in a balance and then it works off of that balance. So you always have to keep an eye on that balance, not let it run all the way down, because if it runs all the way down, TikTok's going to stop serving your ads. So just something to be aware of. It's a little bit different than Facebook, a little bit different than Google, where they'll just auto charge your card. For whatever reason, TikTok does not have that ability yet as of this time of this video. So let's click on Ads Manager and go into Ads Manager. Once you open up your advertiser account, you're going to be landed on the dashboard, and it's going to look something like this. Your dashboard is just an overview of all your ads and their performance. And most likely it's going to be blank, just like mine, because this is a brand new advertiser account that I'm using to show you. So the first thing you want to do, and probably one of the most important things you can do, is create and install the TikTok Pixel. You probably know what a Pixel is if you run ads on any other platform or use Google Analytics, but it's just a piece of code that you put in the header section of all your websites, all your funnels, and that sends data when a user comes to your page, or goes to the checkout, all that kind of fun stuff, completes a purchase, sends that information back to TikTok, and that helps TikTok optimize your ads and find more people to do that action. So if you optimize for purchases, it's going to send every purchase back to TikTok. TikTok will go, great, yeah, that person purchased, let me go find more people like that. And that is the best way to optimize your ads for the most profitable way possible. So to do that, to create a pixel, you're going to go up here to Assets and Events. And you're going to have two types of events, your app events, web events. 99% of the people are going to want to use web events. This is events from your website or one of your websites, Shopify, all that stuff. App events are if you actually have a mobile app and you're trying to do actions from there. So we're going to do web events. You're going to have a page that looks a lot like this. You're going to have no pixels most likely, so you're just going to click on the Create Pixel button. Pretty straightforward, and give it a name. Usually this is your business name. I'm just going to name this John's Pixel. And then you have two options here for your collection method. You could do the TikTok Pixel, which is that piece of code that I was talking about where you put that in your header, or you can use their Events API where it's a more developer focused version of that. Let's keep it simple. Just select TikTok Pixel. Then you're going to have two installation types. You can manually install the Pixel code, or you can set up web events via the partner platforms. If you're using Spotify or using Google Tag Manager, then you can, there's a direct integration with those. The Spotify one I've used, it actually works out really nice. So if you have Shopify, not Spotify, if you have Shopify, you can go into Shopify or go through here and look for the TikTok integration and hook that up. And that'll automatically create a pixel for Shopify in your account with all the events predefined and preset up, and it'll start loading that. I would still recommend that you have a separate pixel for all your other websites. So if you have a WordPress website in addition to Shopify, then you're going to want to also create the manually installed pixel code and then put that on your WordPress site, or if you have like a lead pages site or something like that, and put that on there. And that way you're collecting data from all your sites, not just Shopify. So in this example, we're going to assume that you just have a WordPress site or some other ClickFunnels, lead pages, any of those sites. We're going to click on manually install pixel code, and then you're going to have two options for the event setup, standard mode or developer mode. Unless you're a developer and you really know what you're doing, I highly recommend you choose standard mode. So now we have a pixel, and here is the code that I was talking about. So you're going to want to just copy this code and go to every website you have, every landing page, every funnel that you're using to sell on TikTok, and put this in the header code. So you just copy this, go in, open up the settings where you can put in stuff to the header and add this code. Here's a quick pro tip. I also recommend you email this pixel code to yourself. I personally had a hard time refinding this pixel code after I created the pixel, and I was thankful that I emailed it to myself, because I was able to go check my email and get the code there in addition to copying it, because I haven't found it after I created a pixel. So pro tip, email it to yourself as well. They give you a few steps here, talk about the header of your website, which I just explained. You want to make sure manage cookies is enabled. This helps TikTok track things better. And you also, I recommend enabling advanced matching. And what this does, this allows TikTok to use other pieces of data like the email and the phone number to better match up in their system when somebody takes an action, to more correctly attribute the conversions or page views or whatever we're targeting off. This allows TikTok to do a better matching. So once you have all that, you click next. So here's a good example of something you need to know about TikTok. So it is still a relatively new ad platform. It still has some bugs in it, obviously. Occasionally I run into something like this, where I go to the next page and it's just completely blank. This page should be allowing us to set up the events for our newly created pixel, such as a page view and completed purchase and all that stuff. But as you can see, we just have a blank page. So in this instance, we're going to go back up to assets and click on events again. We're going to go to web events, and then you should see your newly created pixel right here. So I'm just going to click on this. And then you should be taken to a page that looks like this. This is the events that are defined for your pixel, and you will be like me probably and not have any events defined. If you did use the Shopify hookup, it'll predefine all of those for you. But most people who don't use Shopify, you're going to be in this position. So we want to click on create events and create at least one event. So you have two ways to create events: the URL events and click events. Click events are things like a button click or a pop-up close or something like that. You can teach TikTok about your website. You can put in the URL and it'll scan your page and look for all the events, and you can define which ones you want it to use. I actually don't like that method. I actually prefer and recommend the URL events. And what that is whenever somebody visits a specific page somewhere on your site, then it tracks that event. And the most common one you're going to want is either a complete purchase or completed registration. So if you have a book a call type funnel, for example, you're going to want to use completed registration. And if you are selling something, then you're going to want to use complete purchase. And both of those, you most likely have a page that they land on after they perform that action, like a thank you page or something like that. And that page is the URL we want to use. So we're going to go up here. You can select the event type. It's going to give you a list of all the standard events that TikTok tracks. In this example, I'm going to use complete payment, but you also see you have complete registration. You got all kinds of stuff, initiated checkout. There's a lot here that I'm not going to cover. By and large, you're just really going to do either complete payment or complete registration, depending on what your funnel is targeting. So you select the event type, and then you put in the text that the URL has. So in most cases, if you sell multiple products, you'll probably have multiple thank you pages, which is A-okay. Just make sure all those thank you pages have a common word in them, like thank you. So all of my thank you pages and all my funnels, I have multiple products, multiple sales funnels, and they all have the word thank you in the URL. So it might look like systemsmakeprofit.com/thank you/ we'll say blue shirt, for example. So we'll pretend that this is a thank you page that they get landed on after they buy a blue shirt. I don't sell a blue shirt, but we're just using this as an example. So what I would say is, okay, this URL contains this thank you word. So I'm going to copy that out of that URL. Now I'm going to put it here. So now anytime somebody lands on a page that has thank you somewhere in that URL, TikTok is going to attribute that as a complete payment event. And that's important because you want to tell TikTok, the people who actually take the action you want, say, hey, okay, this person landed on this thank you page. That means they completed a payment. Go find me more people like this. And the same thing with the other one for booking a call and stuff and completing registration. Whatever page they land on after that, you want to put in here. There are some advanced settings. I recommend possibly not even using these. I personally don't use them. If you want to have an alias for this to make it more specific about what that event is, you can definitely do that. Like if you wanted to say complete Shopify payment, you could always do that, but I recommend you actually just leaving that blank. And if you have a standard value that your product is, you can put that value in here, and that'll help you. It'll in the dashboard, in the campaign data, it'll show you, okay, you had this many purchases. It'll do the math for you, like at $100 a purchase, 10 purchases, it'll say, okay, hey, great, you've made $1,000 off of this ad set. This is not needed by any means, but it's just kind of a nice to have if you have a standard price product. So with that being said, you can either create more events here, or we're just going to stick with this one for now and click on save. Once we save, we're back here on the events page. You can see now our completed payment event right here, which is great. But I want to point out, it says no recent activity, and there's no attributed events, no total events. This usually means that your pixel isn't installed and or you haven't had any payments go through or any actions, any people land on that page. So I recommend once you put your pixel on your page, all your pages, actually go through your funnel and do the actions that you would want an end user to do, like make a test purchase and then land on that thank you page and then come back here. It might take a little bit for it to register that, maybe an hour or two. But do that, and then when you do that, it should turn this green saying that it's active and receiving events, which is very, very important. You really don't want to start running ads until you are very confident that your pixel is installed correctly and it's tracking the thing you want correctly. And it should show an attributed event here or in the total events. Let me explain the difference between these two. Attributed events are events that come from a TikTok action. So somebody saw your ad on TikTok, they clicked on it, they completed purchase. That is an attributed event to TikTok. Versus total events, which is purchases from any channel. It could be Facebook, it could be Google, it could be YouTube. Those all come in here. TikTok sees all of those, but it really only cares about the ones that came from TikTok. So that's why it breaks it down between the two. Usually your total events is going to be way higher than your actual attributed events, especially if you're running ads or getting organic traffic from other sources. So now you have your pixel set up, you have an event created. Now it's time to go create an ad. So we're going to go up here to campaign. And when you click on campaign, you're going to have just no campaigns. Most likely it's a new ad account. So let's go ahead and create a new campaign. TikTok is very, very similar to Facebook. If you use Facebook, you're probably looking at this and go, wow, John, that looks very, very familiar. Word on the street is that the same people who created the Facebook ad program also created TikTok ad program, which makes sense because they look very similar. So it has 3 levels, and it's important to understand those 3 levels. So your campaign is your overall objective. So for example, if you want purchases for blue shirts, then your campaign is going to be, purchases blue shirts. Under that, you have ad groups, and your ad groups are who you want to target for that. So the different groups of people, that could be people who are interested in blue shirts, people who are interested in men's shirts, people who like the color blue. Could be any number of things. You could do a lookalike audience that's people who are similar to people who've already purchased your blue shirts. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But your ad groups are who you're targeting. Campaign is what you're going for, your objective. Ad groups are who you're targeting. And then your ads are the things that actually get shown to the end user. So right now, let's create a campaign. So the first thing you have to do is select an advertising objective. You have a lot here. I recommend just doing conversions. I've tried doing video views. I've tried doing traffic. I've tried doing lead generation. And by far, across the board, all the time, the most profitable ads are the ones where we actually target for a conversion, a purchase event, or a book a call event. Just getting random traffic to your site that's just going to spend money for really no return. Maybe some of those people turn into purchases, maybe they don't. Same thing with lead generation. Unless you have a really good email follow-up program that you have for your lead generations that's really crushing it and gets you a lot of sales, you're just going to get a lot of leads and spend money getting those leads. And if you can capitalize on those leads, hey, great. But if you can't, then you're just kind of wasting money. My suggestion for almost any ad you run on really any platform, unless you have a reason to get more leads, like you're monetizing that, like I said, or you really just want more traffic or something like that, just go for the conversion. It's going to optimize and do all its work trying to get that conversion, and over time that is going to turn into a more profitable ad that actually gets you a return on your ad spend. So we're going to select conversion. Next, we have to give it a name. I like naming things similar to this. So I'll say TikTok. I can spell TikTok purchases, and then let's pretend that I'm selling a blue shirt. I don't know why I'm into blue shirts today, but I am just into blue shirts, mainly because I got one on. It's my favorite color. This way, when you look at your campaigns listed, it's real clear, like, okay, this is for purchases and this is for the blue shirt product. You possibly have multiple products, or maybe you want to go for in a different campaign, actually like leads or something like that. So you could say TikTok leads and then put whatever conversion funnel, whatever lead funnel you have, so you know it's leads for that. But in this case, we're going for purchases of a blue shirt. Next thing you have to decide, or really just look to see if you are in any special ad categories. So if you're advertising anything related to housing, real estate investing, anything really related to housing, you have to check that. Same thing for employment. If you are a headhunter or something like that, and you're going to run ads to get employment or employ people, you have to check that. And same thing for credit card offers or offering credits or loans or anything like that. You have to check that. Those are sensitive ad categories, special categories. There's a few extra hoops that you have to jump through to be able to advertise in there, because a lot of people have abused ads in there. And for example, try to get people to sign up for really bad credit cards or really bad loans or something like that, and take advantage of people. So if you're in one of those categories, make sure you check that, and it's going to go through a little extra validation for you. Most people aren't in those, and so you can just say no category selected. Two other things here, actually three other things. You can create a split test. This is where you have a campaign split test where you're split testing two different campaigns. I actually don't do a split test, at least not at the campaign level. I also don't like setting the budget at the campaign level either. And the reason why is under the campaign, you're going to have multiple ad groups. Each of those ad groups is going to be targeting different people. Well, if you set the budget at the campaign level, TikTok is going to allocate the money to each of those ad groups as it sees fit, which is not always the way I want it to work. If I'm going to test a new ad group, I want to dedicate money to that ad group, to that audience, to see if that's going to work or not. I'd rather not TikTok try to determine what money it should spend on what ad group. That just gets confusing. So I recommend not doing a campaign not doing a budget at the campaign level, instead doing it at the ad group level, which we're going to show you. And here's also set campaign budget. Again, I recommend you do this at the ad group level. So we're going to click continue. So now we have an ad group name that we have to give it. So again, I like doing similar. This just helps when you're looking at data, looking at reports. You can quickly say, okay, this is the campaign. This is the ad set. So blue shirt, if I can spell blue shirt correctly. And then the ad group is who we're going to target. So we're going to set up an interest-based campaign, and we're going to say people who are into shirts. Let's say, or in fact, we'll even go men's shirts. Okay, so I'm gonna explain that when we get down a little bit further. You don't even have to know this at this point, and you can leave this blank and then come back up here and do it as well. But don't forget to come back up to your name and just name it something that's clear. Again, that's gonna save you a lot of time and headache down the road when you're looking at multiple ad groups and data reports and stuff like that. You're not really sure which one is what. This makes it super clear, this method. So highly recommend it. So now you have to select your promotion type, whether you're doing an app or a website. In this whole video, I'm really assuming that you are targeting a website. It's what like the majority of the people do. So go ahead and select website. And then from there, you get to select your TikTok pixel. So we just created John's pixel. So I'm going to select that. You would select your pixel. And then you're going to optimize for an event. So we created those events. We created the complete payment. Yours could have been the completed registration. This is what the ad group is going to try to get more of. So if you did page views, for example, then it's just going to try to get more people to go view your page. If you go for leads, it's going to try to get more people to do the lead action. But like I said, I highly recommend doing a payment, some kind of conversion, either a completed booking or a completed payment, because then TikTok's going to go find more of those people who took that action, which at the end of the day is really what you want. You also have the option here to do a TikTok instant page. I don't necessarily like this. Like Facebook has something like this where it's a lead page. It basically is a little mini page that they can go on the TikTok platform that people can go and fill out a lead for. If you're going for leads, this is probably a cheap, effective way to get leads. Either way, though, I still like people going to the website. That gets you people looking at your content. It's a little bit more easier to sell them. You can retarget them a little bit better. And so I like sending people to the website, which is what we've done with the external website here. Next is placements. So placements are where TikTok is going to show. Do not do automatic placements. Pro tip right here. If you can see, when I selected manual placements, it gives 3 apps here. So TikTok, which is what we're here on, that's what we want to advertise on. Then it has these 2 other random apps that I have never heard of personally. If you select automatic, it's going to show your ads on all 3 of these, not just TikTok, all these 2 as well. We don't know what those are. We don't know the kind of response we're going to get. We're here to run ads on TikTok. So I highly, highly, highly recommend unchecking those 2. There are some advanced settings here. You can allow users to comment, which I recommend, because the more engagement you have with your ad, the more it looks like user generated content, which is the primo right there. You can also flip on or off allowing people to download your video. If you don't want people to rip off your video for whatever reason, uncheck this on. I tend to leave it on, and it's really a personal preference there if you want to allow people to download your video or not. Now you have the creative type here. This is automated creative optimization. So this is going to allow you to create multiple combinations of assets, of text, and it'll randomly serve all of them and try to find the best optimized one. I personally don't like doing this because I like controlling what's being shown, because when you do this, you don't always know what's winning and what's not. It's kind of hard to find that data sometimes. If you've done this on Facebook, it's very hard to see that data. Facebook just kind of keeps that hidden, and it just starts showing one and you're just guessing which one that is. I like being specific about it. So I like choosing the video, the creative, I like choosing the text and trying out different of those in different ads. So that's real clear. Okay, this text is winning over this text, or this creative is winning over this creative. And it's very clear to you which one is the winner, and you can cut off the loser and just go with the winner. Now we're getting into targeting. This is the meat and the bread and butter of ad groups. This is who you want to show your ad to at the end of the day. Most likely going to have multiple ad groups targeting different groups of people. You typically don't want to have just one massive ad group, because then it's too convoluted and you don't know who's responding to your ad or not, which is really the first thing here. You can have TikTok do automatic targeting or custom targeting. Automatic targeting is where you just give TikTok free reign on it to decide who to show your ads to. So literally all 100 and some odd million people in the United States that are on TikTok, it could just randomly decide to show who it wants to your ad. That could maybe work. I prefer to be a little bit more specific in my targeting. So again, I know who is responding to my ad and who is not responding to my ad. So I always recommend to do custom targeting. Now we get into demographics. This is who you want to show. This is further whittles it down to who you want to show the ad to. First is location. It's defaulted to your country. I'm in the United States, so it's here in the United States. If you want to change this, for example, all your people who buy blue shirts are in Texas. I live in Texas. So what you would do is you would delete the United States and do Texas, and it would say Texas, United States. So now this ad is only going to show to people who live or are in Texas at this particular time. I've had products where I've sold where it really resonated with Southern U.S. people. It was a pool product where most of the pools are. And so I only targeted those states in the Southern United States who had pools. So if you have a product that's similar like that, where you have certain states that resonate more, or certain areas around the world that resonate more, you can come in here and change that. But for now, I'm going to do just United States. Next is languages. Generally recommend just doing all languages. If you have an ad or you're targeting a specific group of people and they have a specific language that you want to target, then you can definitely select that. That'll help you, be more targeted to that audience. But in this case, I'm just doing all and let TikTok and let the ad creative decide who y'all want. I'm targeting everybody in the United States. Most people speak English, so we'll just go with that. Gender is the next thing. You can do all male or female. If you know that your product or your target market is only males or only females, for example, then you can select that. I typically like to start with selecting everybody and let the ad creative and the ad copy determine who is going to show to. So if you do all and then TikTok start seeing the majority of the people buying your product are women, it's going to go find more women than men and kind of self-optimize itself. But like I said, if you know your product really resonates with one thing or another, or I know coaches that I've helped, they only target men or they only target women, then you by all means select that, and that'll help further whittle down and be more specific about who you're targeting and optimize your ad spend a little bit. Same thing with age. You can do default all, but if you know, hey, I really don't want to work with 13 to 17 year olds, which I don't blame you, then you could just select every other age range. Alternatively, if you know that your product only resonates with people 25 to 54, not with seniors, not with people in high school and college and stuff like that, then you can by all means check that. But again, I usually recommend starting with all unless you know your audience really well and you know all your audience. Like you look at your Instagram page or your Facebook following and look at the demographics there, and it says, okay, all your people are, like 70-80% of your people are in this age range. Then you could probably whittle this down a little bit and narrow down your audience a little bit more. For getting started, I kind of recommend you just do all. Also, one thing I want to point out here is over here in the top right, you'll see this changing. This is your available audience size. So right now we're, I think, just United States, all genders, all ages, and that's between 97 million and 119 million people in the audience. That is fairly broad. We're going to actually, when we add interest, we're going to whittle that down a little bit. But your goal is to kind of get it into where it'll say either narrow, balanced, or fairly broad. The ideal goal, I think the sweet spot is when you can kind of get an audience side that it says balanced. But even if you don't get there, if it's still fairly broad, that's great. At this moment, this targeting is still way too broad because it's literally everybody in the United States. Next one here is household income. If you know that your people are like, you only want to target very wealthy people, then you can come in here and select some of these things. This will get you the top 10. It'll show your ad in the top 10% of zip codes based on wealth accumulation in that or net worth in that zip code. I don't typically mess with this unless we have a client with a very high-end ticket product and we're trying to just show it to people who have the actual cash. But again, usually let the creative and the text and the sales page handle that for me and not necessarily define it here. In fact, I don't think I've ever used this functionality in TikTok, but it is there available and something you can play with. Once you have a successful ad, you can kind of tweak and play with other versions of that to see if you can get even better. Now we get into audiences. So audiences, let me take a second to explain audiences. You've set up your pixel. It's now collecting events. It's collecting page views when people come to your page. It's collecting the completed purchases or completed registrations. Those, you can go in and create an audience of those people. And then you can include or exclude those people. The other powerful thing, and I touched on this a little earlier in the video, is lookalike audiences. So using this example, say we created an audience of everybody who's completed a purchase. Those are your bread and butter, is the people you want to target more of. Well, you can create what's called a lookalike audience. And what TikTok does is says, okay, I have these 1,000+ people. Let me create an audience of people who look like those people. It looks at all 1,000 of them and try to find the common traits amongst all those people. And then you create a lookalike audience of people that look like that. And it'll start showing, and you can select that as your audience, and it'll start showing the ad to those people. And ideally, these are like your hot buyers, people who are very similar to people who have already really engaged and purchased your product or completed registration. This is a very valuable audience to have. I highly recommend using lookalike audiences. That said, TikTok makes you wait until you have 1,000 events for that audience before you can create a lookalike audience. So sometimes it could take you a little bit to get there. They do have abilities that they're adding where you can upload a spreadsheet or a CSV with your purchasers from other platforms. But if you're just doing the pixel and the events that we set it up, it's going to take a while. It's going to take you getting 1,000 of those events before you can start creating a lookalike audience. I want to touch again. So the include is who you want to show, what audience you want to have. Excluded, if there's people you want to exclude. For example, you want to show it to a big group of people, but you want to exclude everybody who's already completed a purchase so it doesn't keep showing it to those people. You could add the completed purchase audience here and do that. But right now, since we're brand new, we just created our pixel, just created our events, we really don't have any audiences defined up. I'm going to skip over that and we're going to go straight down to interests. And most people are going to be in this boat where you don't have an audience to get started with. If you don't have an audience, the next best thing is interests and behaviors. And TikTok gives you 4 options here. You can do it based on interest. You can do it based on video interactions. You can do it based on creator interactions or hashtag interactions. I'm going to actually do the reverse order, but I have found that these are in best to worst order. So like your best performer is probably going to be interest up here. Your least performing one is probably going to do hashtags. So with hashtags, if you know that there is a hashtag that's trending or that all the people you want to target are using, then you can put that hashtag in here like, let's see, freedom. Well, it's the first thing that came to my head. Freed it. I'm not sure what that hashtag is, but we're going to roll with that. So for example, say everybody was using the freed it hashtag, whatever that means, and you wanted to target those people and get your ad in front of those people, then you could do that. I don't necessarily recommend this unless you are very specific about the hashtag. Notice when I did add this hashtag, it really drastically dropped down my audience. So do keep aware of this audience size. Like an audience of 189,000 people is not very big. You're probably going to burn through those people and show all your ad to them very quickly. So you definitely want a larger audience. So keep that in mind as you're adding these things and make sure you're not getting too small of an audience to target. So the next one here, going reverse order, is people who have carried out an action with a creator. So for example, they've either followed or viewed a creator's profile. And what would be cool is if you could actually put the creator in here. You don't have such a luxury. You have to create, select, and I guess what's it called, the type of creator they are. So are they a talent creator? Are they a relationship creator? Like, are they a romance relationship creator? If they are, then you can target everybody who's either followed them or viewed them. Now, there could be hundreds of people there. In fact, actually, it looks like 48 million to 59 million people have followed and or viewed a relationship creators page. So that is an option for as well, if you know this. But again, I think the interest is actually better than this, and we're going to go over that. The next one, going again reverse order, is video interaction. So these are people who have interacted with a video, and it's really how they interact with videos in general. Do you want people who always watch a video to the end? Oh, okay, yeah. You want people who always like videos, like you want to try to get more likes on your videos, or just people who have engaged, or people who have commented, people who have shared. If you want like a specific type of these people or all those people, then you can definitely show that. and then you select the category. Again, you can't define a creator, which would be really, really cool. You have to select a category that the creators are in. So again, say it's a lifestyle, and say you're travel and you want travel creators. So now it's going to go try to find all the people who have shared a video from a travel creator, somebody who's in the travel space. Again, it's kind of loose, kind of broad. And if you look over here, the audience is 0 to 2,000. So you got to keep that in mind. Again, I don't necessarily like this. I think the best one is the interest, which we're going to go up and talk about next. So now we're talking about interest. And this is by far my favorite one. It's the one I've had most success with. It's people that I know who've spent even way more money than me on TikTok. They have a lot of success with this as well. So this is where you go in and you define interest that people are doing. So let's, for example, say that you are into meal planning, for example. Then you could search for meal planning, or actually let's do just meals. And sometimes it takes a little bit to find the actual interest that you want, because you might have an interest in your head and you start searching for that and you're not going to find it. So I actually recommend typing as little as possible about the interest and letting the search ahead, the type ahead kind of come up. So now I say, okay, there's meals, delicious meals, prepared meals. Okay. I like that, kind of goes with meal planning. We'll do ready meals. That kind of goes with meal planning. And we'll see if we can find maybe another one. We'll just say meals in general. Weeknight meals, nutritious meals, healthy meals. So this would, I'd probably create a meals interest. So what I would do is come back up here and say, okay, I went through and I found everybody who is just interested in meals. And that way I know when I look at this ad group name, okay, it's interest-based and it's meals and it's all these people that like this. Now I want to caution you, try to keep your interest grouped the same. So don't mix in like cooking and recipes with meal planning, or don't mix in, let's go back to the blue shirt example. Don't mix in meal planning with people who like shirts. Try to be specific about it. Try to group as many as you can that are similar to get the audience size you want. Again, this is 12 million to 15 million. TikTok still says that's pretty narrow. You could try to run this. Again, you'd ideally want a larger audience, but this is something that is fine to go start with. But keep it, add as many that make sense as a group together, and then use that to run. Don't mix and match your interest or make it too broad, because then it gets hard again to know which audience is responding to your. And at the end of the day, you want to have that data so that you can say, okay, well, meal planning people don't respond to us, but people who like cooking and recipes, they really respond to us. So let's stop the meal planning and just put all our money towards cooking and recipes interest. So you want to be able to have that data. So I highly recommend you do that. The device, so the next option you can do here is device. If you have an app, or for some reason, like all your best customers run Android or iOS, or all your customers run a specific version of Android. I'm just throwing out random examples that have. Mainly this would be if you have an app that you're trying to get people to install, and say your app only runs on iOS, well then of course you want to come in here and select iOS only. Most people, 99.99% of the people, just leave this alone. Don't even touch that. Now, the other thing, so say we have a narrow audience right here. You can do targeted expansion. So if you have a narrow audience, what I recommend is using targeted expansion and looking at what's here. So these are, we didn't limit by age, we didn't limit by gender, we didn't limit by audience, we limited by interest and behavior. So that's the only option we have to check here. So you could check this, and what that does is tells TikTok, okay, look for people who like meal planning, but you can expand to other related interests if those people seem like they are responding to the ad properly. So it could go a little bit into, so there were multiple meal categories up there. Maybe it sees that there's another category that we didn't add that was related to meals. And so, okay, these people are really responding. So it's going to start showing your ad to those people as well. So you can turn this on, turn this off. Really, the answer to whether you should use it or not is how big your audience is right here. You could even test one ad group with it on and one ad group with it off and see how they compete against each other and compare I tend to use this most of the time, depending, especially if I limit based on gender or age. I'll come down here and select those so that it has the freedom to go show it to some other people in a different gender or in a different age group if those people seem to be responding to the ad. Now let's talk about budget and schedule. So we talked about not setting the budget at the campaign level and again, instead setting at the ad set level. Just to reiterate, if you set at the campaign level, it's going to randomly decide what ad groups to allocate the money to. So if you have an ad group that's crushing it and one that's not, you're relying on TikTok to decide, okay, should I give more money to which one, or the good one or the bad one? I'd rather not give TikTok that power. I'd rather see that and have the power over it myself. So don't set it at a campaign level, set it at the ad group level. So that way you're able to analyze the ad group and say if you have one that's really just not performing well, you could just shut that one off. If you have one that's doing really well, then you can allocate more budget to that one and let it go. And you do that manually versus letting TikTok do it. TikTok recommends at least $20 a day. That's pretty low. Feel free to start there if that's your budget. I actually recommend starting at a minimum of $50. And let me explain why. TikTok and really all ad platforms, the way they get better. So when you first launch the ad, it's kind of just randomly showing it to everybody because it doesn't know at that point who is going to convert. Once you start getting conversions, once people start making purchases, start booking calls, that data is going to feed back to TikTok, and that's going to allow TikTok to optimize and go find more people like that. So the faster you can get that feedback to TikTok, the better it's going to perform. So if you only do $20 a day, it could take you a while to get enough sales and conversions to feed that back to TikTok to really start optimizing the ad. Versus if you throw more money at it, $50, $100 a day or something like that, it's going to get that data a lot faster and you're going to be able to run your ad for 3 or 4 days and see results versus possibly a week, maybe 2 weeks and see results. So the more money, the faster you see results, and the faster you can make decisions on whether that one is working or not. Next, you can have 2 options to run. You can just run continuously after a start time, or you can run an ad group within a specific date range. I typically recommend that you just run it after a start time. And actually, I would also recommend is that you start the ad, you schedule it to run the next day. So today is the 10th. I'm going to set it to schedule to run on the start on the 11th at 4 a.m. So the reason why I do this is when you finish creating your ad, when we get through here, TikTok doesn't immediately just start showing your ad. They actually have to go through a review process, and you have somebody at TikTok to look over the ad, make sure it meets all their guidelines, make sure it doesn't discriminate in any way. They've got a whole checklist of things they go through. So that can take anywhere from a few hours to even like most of a day. So the last thing you want is for us to launch the ad, like say, create the ad here in the morning. TikTok doesn't approve the ad until like 9 p.m. And then it has the potential to say, oh, okay, well, I've got $50 to spend between 9 p.m. and midnight. I'm just going to go blow it and spend it all. That's not like a super effective use of your money. So since we don't know how long that approval process is going to take you, I like setting the ad to run at the start of the next day. You could use the run within a range if you are doing a special. So say you have a Valentine's Day special and you only want to show the ad for like a week or 2 before Valentine's Day and then end on the day after Valentine's or something like that. Then you can come here and set that. And that's a very good example of when you should use running within a range if there is a time frame. But most people, you don't have a time frame, so you're just going to run continuously. And then you can monitor that and shut it off when you see that it's not performing. The next option here is day parting. Day parting is if you know that all your people are responding to your ad and making purchases at a certain time, like say all your sales come between 9 p.m. and midnight, like you've got a night owl crowd for whatever reason, then, and you get no sales the rest of the day, then you can come in here and define like, I only want my ad to show between 9 p.m. and midnight. And that would, again, just make it better use your money and show it to the audience that's making purchases. That is an extreme edge case example. Most people buy all different times of the day. They don't have that specific example like that. So you just want to do all day, like TikTok optimize that. But it is an option if you know that your audience only buys during certain time. Next down here is bidding and optimization. So you got to choose a goal for your ad group. So this is what is going to be trying to get you. you. And by and large, like 99% of the people talked about this, like it sound like a broken record. You want a conversion. You don't necessarily want a value. This is if you've defined a value for the event and you only want people who give you the highest value, or for example, you just want people who will click on it. Those aren't going to get you the best results. You just want to go for conversions. You want to track, your goal is to get the thing, get the conversion. So that make that your optimization goal for your campaign or your ad group. And then you have two bid strategies. You have cost cap and lowest cost. I highly recommend you just use lowest cost and let TikTok try to optimize your ads so that it's getting the lowest cost per conversion humanly possible. If you want to cap it, like you have a specific ROI, like if you're spending more than $50, then you're losing money, then you can come in here and put a cost cap of $50 and TikTok will not spend more than $50 to try to get that conversion. That is kind of an edge case. I would actually recommend you just start with lowest cost and see how that runs. If for some reason it is spending more than you would like to acquire a customer or get a conversion, then you can create another one or come change this ad to go for cost cap and try that out and see if that gets you a better return on your money. Lastly, there are a few advanced settings. You can't even really change these. I recommend not changing them and just leaving them be. So I'm not going to even cover those. So now we have our audience. We have who we're targeting. Let's click on next and we're going to go to the ad. Now we are finally to creating the ad. So we create a campaign, which is our overall objective. We create an ad group, which is who we want to target with our ad. Now we're actually creating the thing that is going to be shown to the end users. So again, I like doing the same naming convention just so that when there's a view where you can just look at all ads. And if you have this naming convention, it's easy to see which ads are for which ad group and which campaign, and just makes life a lot easier down the road. So I recommend it. I've seen people who just randomly name their campaigns and their ad groups and their ads, and it's a nightmare to go do data analysis and see which ones are working, which ones not, because you're constantly having to reference, okay, which campaign this is for. So again, I'm harping, sound like a broken record. I highly recommend that you have a consistent naming. So this is purchases. We were doing blue shirt, and we were doing interests. And we did, I believe, meal planning, which doesn't make sense for selling a blue shirt, but that's what we did. So I'm just being consistent. And then lastly, but not least, you need to identify this ad. So if your hook in the ad is like, hey, this is the best blue shirt ever. You got to have one. It breathes. It's awesome. Vibrant out in the summer, very cool summer shirt, then that would be your hook. And you could put that here. And that just allows you to quickly look at the name of the ad and know, okay, I know which ad that is. And that way you don't have to dig into it and actually look at the ad creative itself. Next here is the identity. So earlier I talked about linking your TikTok account with your business account, and that would give you the ability to post that. That's called use your TikTok account to deliver Spark ads. And this allows you, and then you have to link your account. I have not done that here for my account, but you would link your account would show up here. And then when you run an ad, it looks like it's coming from your personal creator TikTok profile. And that makes it more personable. It makes it look not like an ad, which is kind of what you want. The best ads on TikTok are the ones that look like user-generated content and not some standard ad that you see on TV or something like that. People really can see the difference of those two. So the more you can look at like, hey, I created this video. It's just something I randomly did. It's being shared from my profile. You're going to get better results every time, hands down. So you would select your account, and then move on down. You would also have the option when you select your account like that to use I don't have it here since I don't have my accounts linked, but you'll be able to use an existing TikTok post from your library. Go find one that you've already posted or upload one, for example. I've jumped ahead a little bit. So you had ad details, you have the format here. You can either post a single video or a post, or you can do a collection of posts and videos and stuff like that. I typically just use the single post. In fact, I don't think I've ever used the collection of ads, but that is an option out there. Now we get into the ad creative, and this is the meat of the ad. This is what actually is going to show the creative, the video, whatever. So you're going to have options here. You're going to have ability to upload a video. You're going to have an option to pull one from the library if you've linked your account, or create a whole new one using their creator. Now I'm going to stop here, and I mentioned this earlier. The best kind of ad is content that looks like user-generated ads. If you want to have examples of high-performing ads, TikTok has this awesome thing called TikTok Ad Library. So just search TikTok Ad Library and go on this ads.tiktok.com, and it's going to show you their top performing ads right now. So this is all top performing ads in the last 7 days. So what is super cool about this is you can actually drill down and select the industry. So if you are in the apparel industry, for example, because we're selling blue shirts, right? You could select that and see all the top performing apparel ads that are going on right now. You can also further go down to which ones are getting conversions. They're objective. And again, we're always going for conversion, so you could select that. Now you have a list of very high performing ads that you can look at and get inspiration from. And this is a great way to create an ad that will almost instantly perform and work out, because it's content that's working right now, and you can just emulate it, model it, and create your own, and you're going to have a very high performing ad most likely. So once you have your ad, you're going to click on upload a video or pull one from your library. In your library, I'd actually not recommend using a library video unless in that video you have a call to action. Most videos you probably posted are not like call to action generated, like, hey, click here, or buy this, or go to this page. Those are call to actions. Most of your videos probably don't have a call to action. If you happen to have a call to action in your video, then by all means use that one from your library. But most times I recommend you creating a new video and uploading that, and with that, the video has a specific call to action, something you want that user to do. Next, you're going to have your text. Text is, so in Facebook, you can write like paragraphs, right? If you've ever run Facebook ads, or if you're in Facebook and you see an ad, like you have that whole description part, you can just have text for days. That is not how TikTok works. You have a very small text field. In fact, it actually chops off your text in the ad. It says, I'm going to go ahead and click here to, or just say click to learn more, which is a great one. So it's going to put the text right here. If you have too much text, it wraps it and then it truncates it. And so you can't even see all of the text. So you want to keep this text as short and as concise about what you want them to do as possible. I really like the just click here to learn more. If you're actually wanting them to sell stuff, you say click here to buy. Something very short and sweet that gets them to do what you want them to do, or is telling them to do what you want them to do. Next, you have interactive ads. I've actually never messed with this, but if there are options here. If you want to know more about this, please message down below and I'll do a special video just on interactive ads. But by and large, just doing a video that looks like it has been user created will perform very well on TikTok. Next is where you want to send them, the destination page. So in our instance, we want to go to a website. Here we talked about instant pages before. If you're trying to get them to go to an instant page and fill out a lead, you could do that. 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to do a website, because you're trying to get them to go to your website to make a purchase or to book a call. So you're going to select website, and then you're going to put in your URL right here. So this would be the full URL, so systemsmakeprofit.com. And if you want to send them to like the blue shirt page, then like you have a specific landing page that you want to send them to, and then you just put the full URL. So this is the place where you actually want them to go when they click on the ad. So make this as specific as possible, because if they're watching an ad about blue shirts and you send them to a page that is a very generic page that doesn't talk about blue shirts at all, that ad is not going to convert. It's best that you send them from an ad that's talking about a thing to a landing page that is also talking about the same thing, also probably using some of the same language that you use in the ad. It's continuity. It'll show the user like that's what they expect, that's what they got, and that will convert way better than sending them to a generic landing page. Next, you have your call to action. So this is the button, the thing that you're wanting them to do. You have a list, so you have dynamic and standard. I'm going to talk about standard first. So you can select one of the standard options that TikTok has available here. Learn more, great one. Like this will get you, for most people, learn more is what you want. If you're going for conversions, you're selling something, you can also do sign up now. If you're trying to get people to book a call, they also have a book now or apply now. So you could go down here and find one. If there's one that you're like, man, that really is perfect, it's what I talk about in the ad. Really, whatever your call to action is the ad for them to do, try to find a call to action here that is similar to that language that you're using. So if you're like, hey, click on here to go shop now, or if you're like, hey, click here to learn more, then definitely pick one that's that. The dynamic is where you let TikTok decide what it thinks it should show based on what people are responding to. So essentially, you give TikTok the freedom to show whatever the call to action it thinks is appropriate. It's probably going to show multiple ones, and once it starts seeing which one is resonating better with the audience, then it'll just kind of go with that one. I've talked about this a couple of times. Don't like giving TikTok that power. I like defining it myself, and that way you can do a split test. So if you have two different call to actions that you think might work, run two different ads with each one having a different call to action, like one with learn more and one with shop now, and then see which ad performs better. That's going to allow you to get better data to actually see what is working and then kill the loser and go with the winner. Versus letting TikTok try to decide on its own, and you really don't know which one is working best. Down here with the tracking, this is all optional, and most people aren't going to want to do it. So you're going to use your TikTok pixel to track. That should be selected because we selected it earlier. That's the main thing. If you have some third-party tracking tool that you use, you can go ahead and put those in here. I've rarely used that. If you want to add URL parameters like UTM links and stuff, I would do that in the URL up here. But again, you have the option to do it down here. If you're interested about these are not something I typically use, but if you're interested in learning more about them, please comment in the section below, in the comments below, and I will do a video just on those. And that is it. We're all done. So at this point, you should have an ad that is in the review process, and as soon as it's approved, it's going to turn active. And the way you check on it is you go to the campaign tab, and you'll see it here, and the status will change from in review to active, and that's when you know your ad is starting to run. Pro tip: so when I first started running ads on TikTok, this would happen, and I just want to point it out because it was a little strange to me. Even though the ad was approved, it went like a whole day without spending any money, or it spent like $1, I think, in the instance. And I'm like, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? Is it going to too small an audience? But the next day it picked up and started spending all the money. So just be aware of that. Like, just because the ad's active and it's not spending money, it's not because you did something wrong. It's just because TikTok is trying to figure out who it should start showing it to. That's actually a good thing because you don't want it to just start blasting out to random people. You actually want it to think about it a little bit. So just heads up on that if that happens to you. Once your campaign is live, then you can start looking at the stats that you're getting. So you can click on your campaign, for example, and I'll drill you down into your ad groups. So again, you're going to want to be testing multiple different audiences, multiple different ad groups, so you can be monitoring those and seeing which ones are performing well. And then inside of that, you could click on the ad group. And if you have multiple ads running, in this instance, I only have one ad per ad group because I know the ad works. We're just trying to test it against different audiences. You can come down here and see the actual specifics of the ad. If you have multiple ads, see which one is performing the best. But like I said, I typically looking at the ad group level because I'm setting the budgets at the ad group level and seeing the results from that ad group. And there's lots and lots of fun things. I just want to point out a quick, awesome highlight about TikTok that I've noticed now with multiple clients is that when you start running ads, you're going to start collecting followers. And if your ads are profitable, then at that point, you're getting paid to acquire followers, which is really awesome. This usually is a big boost to business because you're just getting more followers that are liking your posts and stuff, and it starts snowballing as well. Same thing with likes and comments and shares and stuff like that. You'll see these stats, and just the better your ads are performing, the more they're showing to other people. These should start adding up and giving you an extra bonus and start hopefully generating you some organic sales and some organic following as well. And that's it. If there's anything I didn't cover that you would like to know more about, or you have a question about, just put a comment below and I will get back to you. And possibly if it's something that I think will work great for everybody else, I'll create a video for that. I hope you have a fantastic day watching your ad go live and hopefully massively profitable.